Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have some really cute Mother's Day cards to share with you. These were so simple and easy and so much fun to make. I ended up making a bunch of them all at the same time. I really wanted to play around with different colours for the backgrounds. So let's get started on how I made these. I used a white card base with some white cardstock and these beautiful stamps from Pretty Pink Posh. I have been loving these stamps. I wish I could have gotten them sooner. And I wish I had more time to play with them because they are so beautiful and I'm just enjoying using them so much. So to get started, I'm going to start trimming down a bunch of white cardstock for all of my card fronts. So once I had all of them, I then went ahead and rounded all of the corners. These cards are 5 inches by 7 inches. It's the size that I work the most with. I feel like it is a little bit on the big side and it is a bit of work to fill up all that space, but I also feel like I get the best scenes in that size. I have recently brought the next size down, which is going to probably be a little bit challenging for me to use, but I'm excited to make cards where my rectangle dies actually fit the cards without having to trim down card bases. So to get started on these beautiful backgrounds, I load up my cardstock with my anti-static powder. That's because I'm going to be doing a lot of embossing on these. I'm going to be embossing over this entire background. So I just do a few stamps at a time because otherwise I find that even though my embossing ink is meant to be like a slow drying ink, I've had it for quite a while. I think it's getting on, I think it's maybe running a little bit low, and I just find that if I try to do too many, it's quite dry by the time I add my embossing powder and it just doesn't stick as much as I'd like it to. So I'm just going to sporadically stamp these designs all over the place, maybe like 6 or 7 of each design, just to fill in this background. Today I'm using my Ranger Gold, I think it's fine or extra fine embossing powder. This stuff's really beautiful, it works really well. It sticks nicely, it melts beautifully, and it melts slightly raised, which is exactly what I needed for this project. So most of the stamps I'm using today for this set of cards are Valentine's Day stamps, but they had so many beautiful flowers and like a little envelope, and I know it's a chocolate box and I know it's made for Valentine's Day, but it worked really well for Mother's Day too. So as you can see, this is really starting to fill up. And I will just mention that after I do each stamp design, I then go and emboss them immediately. Otherwise, I find I end up knocking powder and ruining the pictures that are already done. So I kind of do it in batches. It is maybe a tiny bit time consuming, but the result is well worth it for these. To fill in all the little gaps, I'm just stamping some little hearts. And there we have it. It's finished. And it is so pretty. So to colour these in, I decided that these cards weren't going to have any black on the front, which I've mentioned before is very unusual for me. I usually would stamp these in black ink, but because I've gone gold embossing powder, I really liked the softer feel of it. So I thought maybe colouring them in, kind of like using watercolours rather than using alcohol markers. This also gives it a really soft feel. That, and it was lots of fun. I had a ball doing these, and I was so happy to be doing multiple pages of it. I could do this all day. So I'm just going to leave you with a bit of music as I paint these. Once my backgrounds were done, I then went over them with some gold splatters using my watercolour pigments. Today I'm using blue gold because it's the one that I found matched my gold embossing ink the best. And this just fills in any gaps, and if anything's looking, a little bit speckled, or maybe if my embossing powder wasn't perfect, this really hides it. It just makes everything blend in together really beautifully. Now because I'm doing a sentiment on the front and none of it's going to be in black, I usually offset my colourful scripty dies onto a black background or a white background, but I already had so much white on this card it wasn't going to work. So I cut out a bunch of Happy, this is a lawn fawn die, and I went over it just roughly with that blue gold watercolour pigment as well, so that it stands out from the white background and the white circle that I'm going to put it on, and just so that it matches everything else. For my coloured cardstock for the words Happy, I went with some really bold colours that matched the Distress Oxides that I had used for the backgrounds. I'm just going to pop a bit of glue on this and then stick my coloured cardstock over the top. Just slightly offset so that it kind of gives it a shadow or an outline. I used my stitched scallop circles by Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to put some double-sided foam squares on the back of all my Happy scripty sentiments. I'm just measuring out where I'm going to place the rest of the sentiment that says Mother's Day, and I'm going to do that in gold embossing powder too, just to keep everything the same. I also stamped a couple of hearts on top because it just looked like there was a bit of a gap above the Happy that needed to be filled in. I'm going to use some nice strong double-sided tape on the back of these circles to adhere them onto my card fronts. And just before I stick everything down, I'm going to be putting my double-sided tape on the back of my card front as well. Once that was placed on the front, it was then just a matter of removing the backing to the double-sided tape and adhering all of this onto my card base. These cards were super simple and they came together so quickly, but as you can see, they turned out so beautiful. I am in love with these pretty pink Posh stamps and I can't wait to use them for more backgrounds like this and for more projects. I hope you love these Mother's Day cards and I hope you'll give them a go. If you like these cards, please give them a thumbs up and please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back in a couple of days with some more card tutorials. Bye for now.